The way you begin your morning can influence the way you live the rest of your day. While many people are still asleep, you have an opportunity to pause, think clearly, and decide what deserves your attention. This is not about believing that 5 a.m. is a magical time. The real power comes from what waking up early represents: discipline, intention, focus, and responsibility. Every morning gives you a choice. You can stay comfortable, or you can move toward growth. You can press snooze, or you can take the first step toward something that matters to you. Small choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but repeated choices eventually become habits, and habits shape your life. The first victory of the day can be getting out of bed when your mind tells you to stay there. That simple action teaches you something important. You are capable of doing what you promised yourself you would do. And that creates confidence. Confidence does not always come from feeling ready. Often, it comes from taking action before you feel ready. When you repeatedly keep promises to yourself, you begin to trust yourself more. You say you will exercise, and you exercise. You say you will read, and you read. You say you will work on your goals, and you do the work. Each completed promise becomes evidence that you can rely on yourself. That is the real value of an early morning routine. The quiet hours also give you something most people rarely have: uninterrupted time. Before messages, notifications, responsibilities, and distractions begin demanding your attention, you have a chance to think. You can review your goals, organize your priorities, read, write, exercise, or simply sit quietly and prepare your mind. If you begin the day reacting to everything around you, you may spend the entire day chasing other people's priorities. But when you begin with intention, you give yourself a chance to decide what matters before the noise begins. Your morning becomes a preparation period. Think of an athlete before a competition. The performance you see later is influenced by the preparation that happened beforehand. Your day works in a similar way. Preparation creates direction. Direction creates focus. Focus creates better action. And better action, repeated consistently, creates progress. The goal is not to create a complicated routine with dozens of tasks. You do not need to wake up at exactly 5 a.m. to become successful. If your schedule requires a different time, that is completely fine. The principle is what matters. Create a period of time when you are intentional about yourself and your future. Maybe you have 30 minutes. Maybe you have an hour. Use it wisely. Read a few pages of something valuable. Write down your most important goals. Exercise. Plan the day. Learn a skill. Reflect on yesterday. Think about where you are going. The activity itself is less important than the consistency, because improvement compounds. Reading 10 pages may not transform your life today, but 10 pages every morning can become thousands of pages over a year. One workout may not change your body, but hundreds of workouts can. One productive morning may not change your future, but hundreds of disciplined mornings can completely change the person you become. This is why consistency is more powerful than temporary motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some mornings you will feel excited. Other mornings you will feel tired and uninspired. Discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation disappears. That is where real growth happens. Anyone can work hard when everything feels easy. The real test comes when you are uncomfortable, tired, distracted, or uncertain. When you act anyway, you strengthen your character. You learn that your feelings do not have to control your decisions. You can feel tired and still take action. You can feel afraid and still move forward. You can lack motivation and still remain committed. That ability becomes useful far beyond your morning routine. Once you learn to control your first decisions of the day, you begin developing greater control over other areas of your life. You become more intentional with your time, more careful with your attention, more consistent with your goals, more prepared for challenges, and gradually your identity begins to change. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who always procrastinates. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You start creating momentum. And momentum is powerful. One productive decision can lead to another. One disciplined action can make the next action easier. A focused morning can create a focused afternoon. And enough focused days can create meaningful progress over months and years. There is another benefit to early mornings that is often overlooked: silence. The modern world is filled with noise. Phones, social media, Entertainment, notifications, opinions, and constant information compete for your attention. If you never step away from that noise, it becomes difficult to hear your own thoughts. Quiet time gives you space to reflect. Ask yourself important questions. Am I moving toward the life I want? What deserves my attention today? What habit is holding me back? What can I improve? What kind of person am I becoming? These questions can change your direction because clarity often comes when you stop reacting and start reflecting. Solitude is not loneliness. It is intentional time with yourself. And when you become comfortable with that silence, you may discover ideas, solutions, and goals that were difficult to recognize when your mind was constantly distracted. Your future is influenced by the thoughts you repeatedly think, the decisions you repeatedly make, and the actions you repeatedly take. So protect some time for those things. Work on yourself before you spend the entire day working on everything else. Your career matters. Your responsibilities matter. Your goals matter. But you also matter. If you never invest in your own growth, it becomes difficult to create lasting change. The morning can become your personal classroom. Learn something. Improve something. Build something. Think about something that matters. You do not need to transform your entire life in one morning. You simply need to make one better decision than you made yesterday. Then repeat it tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. That is how transformation really works. Not through one dramatic moment, but through ordinary actions repeated for an extraordinary amount of time. Years from now, the difference may not come from one huge decision. It may come from the thousands of small decisions you made when nobody was watching. The mornings when you got up, the days when you stayed consistent, the moments when you chose discipline over comfort, the times when you continued despite not feeling motivated. Those moments build character. And character influences destiny. So if you want to change your life, start by changing how you use your time. You do not have to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow just to prove something. Start with a realistic schedule that allows you to get enough sleep and still create meaningful time for yourself. The clock is not the goal. The person you become is the goal. Wake up with purpose. Think with clarity. Work with discipline. Invest in yourself. And keep your promises to yourself. Because every morning is another opportunity to become stronger, wiser, healthier, and more capable. The world does not have to notice your progress immediately. You do not need applause. You do not need everyone to understand what you are doing. You simply need to keep moving. One morning, one decision, one disciplined action at a time. Eventually, those small actions become habits. Those habits become character. And that character begins shaping the life you once only imagined. The real reward of the 5 a.m. mindset is not waking up before everyone else. It is becoming someone who is prepared before opportunity arrives. Someone who takes responsibility. Someone who acts instead of constantly waiting. Someone who chooses growth over comfort. So tomorrow morning when the alarm rings, remember that you are not simply deciding whether to leave your bed. You are deciding what kind of person you want to become. Choose purpose. Choose discipline. Choose progress.